Okay, so we're going to be live soon,
Okay.
and
Oh,
you maybe
You like that one? Sorry, let's get
go
this
ahead.
thing right.
It's
I'm going to
fine.
change it and do it right now.
okay. We're on. We're live. We're live. We're live.
We're live. Okay,
Here we
so
go.
let's.
Great. So I'm going to be posting it on the Facebook page.
Why are we getting this echo?
Oh, because that it was open in my link. It's okay.
Oh.
We can go. So maybe you can start, Ron, as I'm posting it on the Facebook.
Okay, well, I'm trying to fix this background, but let me forget about that for a moment. And okay, one second. Maybe it's better if you start. Or what? Hold on. We're starting what? No, you start. Introduce it, please. I'm
okay.
That way
So
I can finish this thing I'm doing.
So we're live with Joao. Am I saying it right?
Yes, yes.
Joao
Yes.
Xarape.
Sharepe.
Sharepe. Okay.
Yes, that's it.
So Joao is a teacher of the Roy Hart voice work
Yeah.
in Portugal. I think also a musician and an artist. And maybe you can tell us more about your work. And me and Ron are making a film. And you said you also seen the one of the final edits that we were doing that was presented in Malarag this January. And we're having these conversations with people. So we had a conversation last week with Joao Ryan, one of the protagonists of the film and the performance generation. And I think we're doing two things here. We're both collecting material to finish our film, and we're also sharing with the people that want to support the film, where we now have an Indiegogo running. And we're also trying to connect with the specific moment that is happening right now, because we feel that somehow this is relevant. And I wonder, actually, maybe that would be the first question for you. You know, you've seen a little bit the film, you know, the voice work, you know, and my question is also this moment we are living. What's the connection you see of this moment? What can this story or the voice work tells us about this moment, and what this moment we are living collectively, individually, can tell us about the voice work?
Well, that's a big question. I will do my best to.
Oh, you can try.
Anyway.
Or maybe you can start by just, I know that you were doing some music on the porch. I'm also curious.
Yeah. Maybe I focus a little bit on a question and then follow. Since the first time I went to Royal Heart or Malay, and for me it was a kind of dream realization. I mean, it was really like, oh, this is it. This is what I've been searching for. Not so much to look at it as a teacher, but as someone creative and someone who was looking for not a kind of already set up approach to the voice, but a more I must say open way to explore it and to feel it also. And so in that sense, I do believe and I feel that going directly more to this moment, like you said, I do believe that this moment is very special. I believe for all humanity, and in the sense of the voice, for myself, it's been also quite something. Because this kind of containment at a certain level brought me also some more space to myself, and to look and to feel the voice, my voice, in a level of, I will try to be clear. During many years, I separate things, like now I'm singing, now I'm painting, now I'm performing, and now, everything was separate. And even from practical life, everything is on each layer, I must say. And now, everything is on the same, if I can say, timeline. I don't separate it. It's happening in consonance. Life, voice, music, painting, or I don't know. The creative point, it's on the same level as life, I must say. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I don't know if I answer
Yeah,
correctly.
yeah.
no,
What I
no.
take from it is this life as something that happens right now, which is, for many people, it's a novel idea. It's a revolutionary idea, and for many people it's a very strange idea, maybe in the Western kind of post-industrial societies. But somehow maybe this moment, that's what I'm getting from it, this moment is kind of pushing us back to that now we're alive now. And I hear that this is something that for you the voice work is as well about, maybe.
Yeah, somehow what you said and between what I said, something more about embodiment, to stay in the moment embodied, which is something very difficult for us. And in Roy Hart, we practice embodiment, I must say, through the voice and through psyche, of course. Everything is linked. And yet to stay in the moment and decelerate, I'm thinking is the right word, decelerate the process, so you can feel yourself and you can feel the beings and life. Yes, it's embodied totally. And it's beautiful at the same time. It's to be embodied and to make it happen that way.
I might just connect the two things you said. When you first went to Malarag and connected with this work, you felt that this was it. And part of the reason that was so was that it wasn't already a fixed setup. It was something to explore and co-create, in the moment as you discover it, and embody it. And that is, well, that corresponds a great deal for me with my, work in theater and dance, and also this film is like that, actually, totally not set up, and, as a process, the process of it. And I think that it has a lot to do also with what humanity is now passing through, because suddenly, out of nowhere, everything just stopped. Yeah, I mean, if, I don't know, a month ago, I was reading an article today that was very interesting. If a month ago, we had said, oh, it'd be really great to stop all this international flying and all this traffic and all this industrial production, it would have been like, yeah, okay, so how do we do that? It's impossible, And then, boom, in one moment, it became possible. And not only possible, necessary. And every every human being is in the same situation suddenly, which is not normally the way we feel it. And so everything is completely wide open in the sense that it's all shut down. You know, it's interesting how these contradictory terms, though, they work together. And it's really up to us in the process, in the moment, to give body to it, to say, you know, how do we want this to be? How can we envision it? You know, because we can envision a nightmare scenario, you know, where authoritarian governments, you know, put all kinds of controls, and we can envision going back to more community-based economies and just, you know, living a much more natural and creative and human connected life. So not so set up, not so organized, and not so under control. So it's a very, yeah, it's kind of an important opening in the closing, actually. It's interesting, I didn't think about that before, but it's one of my meditation teachers, you know, Thich Nhat Hanh, he has this beautiful saying, the way out is in. You know? And this is really a moment that's asking us, okay, we feel like, okay, we're in a crisis situation, we have to find a way out, but the way out is in, first to go in and see who we are and what we're dreaming and what we want, but also to go into the situation and realize our creative potential, no? That it's our voice suddenly, to put it in on the level of voice, you know, our voice makes a difference. And this is it's a beautiful opportunity somehow. And I see it connected to what you were saying also about embodiment. You know, it's a moment really where we need to embody who we are and what we want. And I think that we as artists, of course, we deal with this all the time somehow. You know, we're pulling something out of the unknown, out of the invisible, and giving it body, giving it a form. And as Ian said in the film, I don't think it's in the film actually, it was in the interview with Ian. He was talking about Roy, who was always saying, you know, don't build a monument to yourself. You know, so don't go for structure and setting it up and making it in such a way that it cannot be dynamic and change and adapt and be questioned. You know, this is the thing. You know, so it's about discovery somehow. So yeah, it's beautiful what you were saying, and I very much can relate to that.
Yeah, and you know, I don't know if Ron, you have a question, or I can go with another of mine.
No, go with another question.
Well, this is a risky question because we're live, but and you know, we have shown the film from a distance. Like, we were not able to travel to France to show the film in presence, and we know it was being shown. It's important to say that when we shown the film, and I think that was supposed to be communicated, that's not the final film. That's what we have right now, which we do believe that it's 90% of the film. It has some voice work to be done. This is also why we're raising funds as well. But also we want to kind of complete the picture. But actually, what I want to ask you, what did you think about the film? What did you get from it? What did you receive from it? What did you see? You know, you already know the voice work in some way. What was the film? What did the film show you new, or what was it bringing to you, to your awareness as well, somehow?
Well, different things, but if I can find a word to define what I feel or what I felt, maybe story will be what comes, not in a very consciousness way, but you know, story, that's what came out at this moment. And yeah, and I think to cover a story of this long work, in a film, it's quite a challenge. To cover everything is impossible, of course. Yeah, it's not possible to do that. So there are some things or directions which are not in the film, which is okay for me. For some are not so okay. That some would like this or like that, but that's impossible to do. A whole vision of the work. It will be a long work for both of you, and I think it will be a long film too.
Yes.
But I found it. Yes, it is a kind of story. There is a kind of I felt like a kind of script inside of it, you know, like different characters and different, you know. For me, it was a story. Like, oh, this is, yeah, like looking to a book, or you know, something like that. That's what I felt, and I felt very, at the same time, impressive by the work that you've done. Also the interviews and between the images from the old times, and even for me, and there was some images and videos. I never saw them. It was the first time I saw them. And I said, wow, this is great. You know, I was enjoying it at the same time, saying, oh, I never saw this one. Or I saw it a long time ago and I didn't remember well. And yeah, it was very nice to see it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank you for asking that question, and thank you, Joao, for the way you answered it. I find that very touching and encouraging. Yeah. Thank you.
Sorry to interrupt you. At the same time, I feel it's been 12 years that I'm around Malekach. And I saw a lot of people coming and recording a lot there and interviewing, but never raised something, I mean, concrete about it. So, what there was someone recording here and someone interviewed there, but nothing, you know. It's been a long time that there is no really a register, concrete register about something, and you did it. And thank you for bringing that.
Yeah, they told us a lot of people have tried, and we're still trying.
Yeah,
it's an impossible task. I remember Carol telling us, you know, there were people trying. They took all the consent form and then they disappeared.
Yeah.
and we kind of understand them by now, you know, why they disappeared. It's tough, like you kind of said. It's tough, and I feel there are different levels to this story. There is, and it's actually, that's why it's difficult, because it's really hard to tell it as an ordinary story, because it's so extraordinary. And it's,
it is.
In the one hand, and it's almost like a fairy tale for me. Like it's almost like a fairy tale. Maybe we kind of say that's a fairy tale. You know, maybe we just need to be frank about it. You know, because. And maybe everything is a fairy tale, you know, and it's really difficult to tell a story that everybody agrees about, especially if it's you know, it's a story that connects to their life, so they will always have a different view, you know. It's like a family, you know. Imagine making a film about your family story, you know, and then you know, but a family that had disputes and you know, so a big family, it's very difficult because you'll never reach all the voices, you know.
Yeah.
And it's hard, you know. I think we're searching for a way, because it is very important for us, and it's part of my dream for this film, is that, and I told that to Ron from the beginning, that as much as I like making a film, although I'm not usually a filmmaker, I like making community. So my vision for this film, that somehow it will support the regeneration the regeneration of Malerag, of the Roy Hartwig. So that this is something that helps heal and build a community for the future. So it's a gift for the future, because I feel that it's needed. You need to be able to celebrate the past to let the future emerge, and it's needed that those things, those disagreements, these different views that might be, and that if they're not visible, if they're not talked about, they cannot be resolved. You know, if we keep our hard feelings in our drawers of our secret drawers under lock, then it might feel more safe. It might feel more safe, but we cannot never really do anything about it. And that's part of my dream somehow. And it's difficult because usually when you make a film, you just want to make a good film. You don't really care about your characters or you just want to. And for me at least, I want to make a good film. Not that everybody like, but that there is a sort of enoughness to it that it brings healing to the community and the world. Like that's a big dream for me. And I think that's why it's hard maybe to make this film. Maybe other people have found that. And there is another level why it's hard, because I think it's so dense. The experience of the voice is so dense and deep and mythical, and you really touch these energies. And it's when you make a film about it, you also are in touch with that. So it's hard, and we're trying. Let's see. We made some progress.
Good.
There's something I would like to add to this concerning I'm passing this quarantine in a community. Yeah, okay. So I'm not alone in a house. I'm in a big villa in Tuscany with 24 other people. And we've been having an ongoing series of encounters to consider how we're doing this. Yeah, I mean, in terms of closing to the outside, and how the children and the young people deal with it, and a lot of work, process work. I'm studying something called process-oriented psychology as well, and those instruments are very interesting. And we had a meeting yesterday, the third one in a series, in which we're working with a process called deep democracy. And deep democracy basically wants to hear all the voices present in a situation. And especially those ones that are not coming out. Some voices come out really quickly, and they're obvious. So as you work with that, there's a position in this whole constellation which is called the ghost role. Yesterday I was really, I was amazed by the power of the ghost role. I went and I'm actually at a certain point I said, no, I'm going to go inside as Ron. And I went to the ghost role and I said something which I knew was going to trigger some discussion, some intense discussion, because I was aware of some voices that were not coming out. So I went and I touched those points. And that led to, some very strong conflictual confrontations, but in the end, it leads to creating relationship and creating community. And that's been an amazing process here. And I'm reflecting on this now because of what you said, about the desire to facilitate the regeneration of a sense of community, of, common purpose or common experience with Malerag. I don't think the idea is that everybody should move back who used to live there, but it's about the feeling for each other and for the place and for the history of it and the present of it, presence of it and the future. So I'm just reflecting on how some of the turbulence, some of the difficulties that we've experienced in working with these themes and the reactions of certain people coming from a particular point of view, which is their own personal experience, and is actually really interesting. And I don't think we need to, I'm realizing that now. We don't really need to look at it as a problem, or as a sign that something is wrong. Maybe it's a sign that something is right, actually. That we're touching some live points, and we work with that. I mean, we have a dialogue, actually direct dialogue with all the people who have given us feedback. And this is very, I mean, these interviews, I mean, you're not one of those people who are part of the film, but, we were having a lot of interviews with people in the film. And so it's really interesting, to explore these questions with them, and even with people who we've not talked to yet. So, yeah, interesting. I don't know, I just felt like sharing that because it's something that I'm experiencing here in this place where I'm living now. And it's thanks to this crisis, that is kind of forcing us to be together in this way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was the kind of keyword that you said about this democracy?
Deep democracy.
And then you spoke about
ghost role.
The ghost role. Yeah. Okay. So the idea here is that every voice within a particular conflict or situation, there are different voices. So there'll be a voice that for example, if we take an example what we were discussing yesterday, the risk, because we're talking about the coronavirus situation for this community. So we were talking about the risk of the sickness, the risk of the legality of certain choices we might make, because we might be going against what the government said, the law. The risk of the relative risk, so the possibility of doing things in a way that's not too risky, but still there is some risk. The social risk of closing down as opposed to opening up, and so we were. But then all these voices have a particular position, let's say. But the idea is that each voice is not just my voice or your voice, but we represent a voice that is bigger than us, that exists in the world, that exists in the field, the energy field of this situation. And now that's very beautiful because it allows you to be totally in, but also realize that you can switch positions, and you do. Someone says something and suddenly you go from, I'm totally against this thing, to moving to another position where you realize that there's something in you that does correspond to that other position as well. And so the group is actually moving within this field. And the ghost role is that voice which is present but not recognized. It's something that's underneath or outside, but still it has a big influence on what's going on. Something that's not been said or that's not clear yet. And at any moment, someone can go and take that position and introduce a point of view, or that makes that presents that ghost. The ghost is suddenly visible and it's in the room, and it's like, okay, we didn't, you didn't see me before, but this is important. And then it causes.
It's a kind of how can I say it? A collective shade or a collective shadow of the group that doesn't rise. It
can be that. It can also be an individual one, But yeah, it's things that have been marginalized or that aren't obvious, that aren't there. They haven't been considered. They haven't been talked about. Or if they have been talked about, they haven't been talked about with the whole community. They've been talked about in private somewhere else, And so yeah, it's about giving voice to the shadow side. Deep democracy and the work it comes from is very concerned with parts of ourselves and parts of society that are marginalized, that are hidden away or pushed away or oppressed. So it wants really to include those aspects, because otherwise there can be no consensus and no real healing. It will always be a question of power. Some group has power over the other group, and that's also true inside yourself, of course. So it's interesting that it goes from individual to social using the same concepts, really, the same instruments.
Yeah, so somehow I felt like not so much in the consciousness way when you were speaking, um, some relation to Roy Hart work in a way that like you said, the work is deep and many things rise up through the voice. Many times they are not really verbalized in a rational point of view or with specific words, but sometimes with sounds and body and somehow I felt the link between what happened in Roy Hart with the voice and with voice work. Many times in group work that happened, something rise up from the shadow that is deep, and we all participate in it, and we all bring it up, and that's beautiful at the same time. So thank you for sharing that.
And thank you for saying that, because it points, it leads me to a moment in the film, in Generation, actually, where Marianne is singing this Avo Part song, which is very beautiful. And then the way that changes, the way it kind of gets really, well, the shadow side, David brings it in, and it gets really, it goes into a place that is totally, in a way, unacceptable. You know what I mean? It's like and it's very beautiful, that. This well, David says it also in the interview. He says, there's always a moment where something breaks, and then you're in the Roy Hart area. He says.
Yeah, somehow it's like
I feel to Ron, you're a little bit disappearing. Maybe you need to remove the visual
because it's dark.
Yeah,
because it's dark. Yeah, I don't know. Well, there's another light I can put on. Let's see if
a ghost role for
like
yourself.
a ghost. Yeah.
I am the ghost role. Is that better? No, it's worse. Because there's more
maybe you need to remove the visual background, because
no. I think I just need to turn I have to turn myself towards the light instead of away from it.
Yeah, so I feel like drawing us towards a close, but and I want to kind of take us back to this moment we are living in, and this idea that maybe we are facing this, we said in the interview, this moment of now, and we talked about the shadow now, the ghost role and the deep work. And and I want to bring it to like, how can we best use our time and our talent in this time and our capacity? And I asked it to Joao, and I asked it to Ron, and I asked it to myself. Well, where is the energy that we have? And I do bring here the voice work and artists, but maybe as people, where should we put our energy? What is the action that we're called for at this time? Besides slowing down and listening to ourselves, then what is being called from us?
Well, it's I don't know. I go to embodiment again. That's my feeling at this time. It's been a long journey to get in there, but that's my feeling, to have access to life. Go to the body. That's my feeling, and what rise up from that in a practical way. I mean, during a long time, I many times I realize my projects and then idealize everything, and then it was sometimes a very, very long way. Nowadays, no, I go and do it, and that's it. That's what I do. So what happened through this also with the help of my wife, she's a psychotherapist, in a very beautiful approach, very linked to the body. And we've been working on it together to make us feel ourselves in the moment, to stay in the moment. And because expectation also can be tricky in a way of, well, it's not, and then it's again, and then whatever it comes out for expectation. And so I think ritualize and celebration, I think that is two words that rise up for me from embodiment. And yeah, it's I think we need that. I think we need that to ritualize and to celebrate, to honor life. That's what I feel like. It's,
Aho.
oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
So I would like to, well, for sure, I celebrate that and I aho it. And I would like to add, and I think it's really very important for me, to create connection and to communicate and to create connection, to create community. And the community is on many different levels, you know, but it's fundamentally about really listening and connecting with each other, and learning actually new skills in that sense. You know, before I spoke about deep democracy, there's another deep listening, which is, I like to think of it this way. You know, there's kind of two ways of listening. You know, one is listening to respond, and the other is listening to understand. So if I'm listening to respond, you say 3 words and I already have, you know, a response. I know what I want to say about it, and I don't really listen to you anymore. I'm just, either I interrupt you or I'm waiting for the moment where I can interrupt you because I already have it, you know, spinning in my head what I want to say. Deep listening is more about really being curious about that other human being and what's going on there. What are their needs? What are they trying to express? What, you know, who are they? And I really think it's a moment where we really need to be listening to each other and listening to ourselves. And from there, being in the moment, as you say, going to embodiment, you know, like what is this moment asking for? What are we asking for? And not have a plan and just kind of, you know, the manual says do this and everything will work out, you know, or keep this under control and everything will be fine. It's interesting. I heard a presentation by the director of the Academy for Architecture in Amsterdam like 5 years ago. And he started his talk saying, I think we're living in a very special moment, he said, because I think, you know, it's a moment in which nothing goes without saying. Yeah. And he was playing on the Dutch word zelfsprekend, which means it speaks for itself. And he said, I don't think anything speaks for itself now. Everything needs to be looked at again and said again. It needs to be redefined. It needs to be embodied in the moment. It needs to be, you know, it needs to be what it is, not what it was or what you think it should be, but what it is actually. And I think that this is such a moment, you know, very clearly such a moment. And again, you know, as artists, I think we especially with artists like ourselves who are, you know, dealing with the present moment and kind of working, well, maybe having a structure and having a kind of map, but realizing that the map is different than the journey, you know, it's like, it's not the same thing. And so, we need to be where we are.
Mm.
And so I think this moment kind of pushes, really demands that from us. And that's,
Yeah, totally. I could share something about recently happened to me. That I mean, I was at this time, my father is 85 now. He live alone, he fall. And he broke a rib, and his mouth was totally open with the teeth and whatever. But at the same time that the virus came in. And so we are two brothers and two sisters. And I didn't want my father to go to the hospital because of the danger of to put him there. So mainly I took the lead to take care of him. But that also brought me to the point of not working, just taking care of him, which also financially gave me no income. So after 1 month or more, 1 month of taking care of him, I was almost broken, as you can imagine. And so, but at the same time, I wasn't worried about it. I was really focused on my father and said, well, let's move on and let's bring him up. And that was the point. And we did it. He's very well now. And I'm very happy for that. But, and it was the first time in my life that give me a moment, please. I pray with my father. It was the first time. I'm 50 now. And it was beautiful, I must say to you. I couldn't imagine to pray with my father together. And then after that, he really started to rise his energy. And we did it, I think, twice or something. And also we linked more, of course, with this ritualizing it and celebrating at the same time that moment of very difficult. He was very depressed with all that thing. And I came home to my wife. We are living in our apartment. And she said, so what are you going to do now? So I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm going to do. But let's see, let's wait and something will happen. And so I started to paint, and I made an exhibition on my building. At the entrance, there is a stairs. I live in the first floor. And so there are paintings until my door of my apartment. And at 8 o'clock, we used to clap for the doctors and everybody who is helping and outside. And then I start to sing some songs. And then I start to give concerts also in the balcony, and I start to broadcast them. Some people contribute with money, and some students start to be interested in having some lessons with me by online, which I refused until now. I never done by online classes. It's the first time I'm doing that. But just to say that, very linked to the moment and to stay on it, and not to just push it or looking to the map or, just embody it again, and wait. You have to wait. You have to wait for life, not just pushing all the time for everything. Yeah.
thank you. That's
Thank
very,
you for listening to me.
no, it's beautiful. important important sharing there. Yeah. Yeah, I'm experiencing a similar kind of thing here. I was saying to Uri before we went live and before you came on, I have this dream which I've been following for a number of years of creating or being part of a community. It has a name called LALA, and LALA stands for Life Arts Learning Academy.
Oh, that's nice.
And it wants to be a place where people come together to explore the art of living in different ways. Of course, artistic practices and spirit, meditation and certain experiential psychology and whatever, food, body work, voice work. And sometimes this dream, which I know I'm going towards it or it's coming towards me, but it seems like it's not here now. And now in this situation, in these weeks, it's suddenly here, absolutely happening. Every morning I lead a 2-hour practice for a small group of people. And in the evenings, we're doing these meetings where we're, facilitating process work. And in between, we're cooking. And it's actually happening now. Yeah. And sometimes I'm thinking, well, what if this situation that we're in now doesn't change? We don't go back to or forward to this is it. It stays like this forever. I'm thinking like, well, actually, I know that I'm in a very fortunate, lucky, privileged situation because I'm not in a city in a small apartment. Yeah. I'm in a place with a lot of, green around and a great group of people. So I'm very aware that there's a lot of pain and discomfort and difficulty for a lot of people in other situations. So I don't wish that to continue for sure. But I am picking up on what you say, just, what it is. We're in a situation, something happens and we sit with it, we deal with it. Yeah. And in a way that's the key to we theater and dance practitioners and also voice. What we call improvisation. The one of the things about, for example, clowning. Yeah, the clown is the one who never says no. Whatever happens, he says yes to. Yeah. And this openness, this being available, being present, being embodied in what's going on and seeing. That's another thing that I often find myself sharing with people is, the thought, this shouldn't be happening, is a ridiculous, it's absurd because it is happening, right? So the more interesting question is, okay, this is happening, what do I want to do with it? Or what can I do with it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think this is a situation now where that is very much, this shouldn't be happening. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Where can you go now where it's not happening?
Yeah.
And I want to share something. Trying to respond to my own question, and I don't really have an answer. But as you were talking, what came to me is this: all my relations, and it's a prayer. It's an indigenous prayer. So I'm not a Northern American indigenous. I'm from a Jewish ancestry, living in Italy, born in Israel. But and we do have our own traditions. But I want to read something about this because it feels to me like something answering all my relations. You might have noticed that this is how I end all my posts. So this is someone wrote. All our relations, mita, pronounced mita kui asai or mita kuyai oyai sin. And it's said in ceremonies, And but then he goes to what, but what does it mean? Well, it means that all living things are connected to each other and to the creator, the higher power. I cannot exist without you, and you cannot exist without me. What I do affect you and others, and what you do affects me. Everything we do has an effect on others and on our world. It means that everything has a spirit, and that's how we are connected to each other, as well as to the creator. Native practices and beliefs honor that saying. How? By treating each other and what Mother Earth and Father Sky have given us with respect. And you know, I say this because I say, what am I doing right now is that I'm working, to connect and to feel my relations, to all of my relations, being all of my relations. And it's there are moments that it's hard because I have many relations. so there is a lot of, so there is a balancing here, act to do. And I feel being with all my relations, then receiving back that web, the web of life that I'm part of, that I'm servicing, that I'm here for. And I really feel that this moment, I can really feel that this is a moment I've been preparing for a long time, for a long lifetimes, it feels like lifetimes that I've been preparing for this moment. And there is nothing I can do wrong. So I cannot do anything wrong at this moment, basically. Sometimes it gets anxious. Oh, there's a lot of, no, there is nothing you can do wrong right now. It's everything was prepared already. You just need to be there, that's what I feel right now. And I have this prayer. I guess it's a prayer that because nothing is certain, but I do have this prayer that we really take this moment to feel that interconnectedness. This me and you are the same. We are connected, and that we really take it in, breathe it in, and then kind of leave that. Whatever, it doesn't mean that we have to stop eating meat or I don't know, stop driving car, maybe, but it's more about the feeling, this connectedness. This is the important stuff for me, this feeling that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I want to use my car to go meet people.
Yeah.
I had a conversation where writing a talking books, and it feels like we are also writing a talking book right now. So I had a conversation earlier this week. We're writing this talking book, and we don't have a title for the book yet. But when we were talking after our very intense 2 hours conversation with very inspiring people for our book, and it's like what came, and probably not going to be the name of the book, but it was uncertainty and driving through uncertainty, and then the image I had of this in the beginning was like this mech drive, so this uncertainty drive, that you stop this uncertainty drive. And then it came something a little bit older, like the dogana, the place of the custom, the pole, where you stop in this, and it feels like it. And yeah, and maybe we can kind of share some final words or thoughts, and will be about an hour, so it's a bit longer than what our format before, but that's okay. We're maybe just taking in something and sharing as a sort of something we're taking in and we're giving out at this moment.
Well, I have a proposal for you, for both of you.
Yes.
I will play and sing something instead of words. What do you think?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Let's have it.
If you want to sing with me, let's sing.
Yes.
It will be great. So I have my machinery. I'm full of machinery here. I have two synthesizers and a Logic, two keyboards in my room. I'm full of keyboards around.
Now I want to go and get some instruments, but I won't because they're
Oh, go ahead.
upstairs.
We can organize a jam. We need a jam.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I remember when you proposed that in Malararg, it was like, what? You remember?
Well, we did organize a jam once.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. When we came to do the garden for the first time, we organized the dinner.
Uh-huh.
That was quite surprising and beautiful. There was some jamming and singing. Very powerful. But yeah, need to find the moment, or the moment needs to find you. So now Joao is proposing us.
Yes, this is the moment. Let's go.
You listen to this. You are listening?
Yes.
Yes. Are you playing something now? Because I hear the sound of the keys being touched, but I don't hear the music.
Because is it connected with your computer?
Oh yes. You don't listen to it?
No. So you need to do share. You need to do share, and then you need to do share with computer sound. When you do share, you need to click the share computer sound.
In the Zoom settings?
Yeah. So no, when you do share screen, do share screen.
At the bottom of your screen there.
In the bottom of the screen, and then you do share computer sound.
What is share? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do you see a number of buttons on the bottom of your Zoom screen?
Yeah. Invite.
Okay, in the middle, there's a yellow sort of with an arrow. It says share screen.
Oh, okay. Where is it? It's here. Maybe. I hope this came out. What should I put in?
You have on the bottom left, you have share computer sound. You have a little box.
Mail, desktop, iPhone.
And then you search maybe screen, but then you
computer sound. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is.
And then it needs to be clicked, and then you have to do share. So we might not see you. That's unfortunate. But oh, we do see you in small, but that's okay. Okay. Oh, we see some. You see your desktop. Maybe you can
see your.
Let's see. Maybe it doesn't work, but I will try.
You try. Yeah, we can see the keyboard. It's visual. Or if you want to put us a beautiful image that you feel inspired to, you can also open.
No, it's not working.
Well, it's playing.
No, it doesn't work. But maybe it needs a setup for this, and I don't know how to do it already. So
okay.
Well,
so we'll have to do a rain check on that. So then,
at least we try.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
Yeah, maybe we should see that as an invitation to organize music.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. There is this thing. I think that's technically something to.
Yeah, I think it's about the output, your output of your recording interface.
Well, anyway,
connecting
I don't know.
with. Yeah, it's well.
You can
technology is
do.
always.
Oh, I went down. Okay.
Okay, I'll stop your sharing so we can see each other. But yeah, maybe we can just make a sound basically together.
Okay, good.
Like this.
Let's do it.
We have our primary instrument, right? The voice.
Yeah. Well, we did it. Thank you. Beautiful. Thank you. Well, thank you very much, Ron, and thank you very much, Yuri, for the interview and for your proposal. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, thank you.
Also, I never met you both. I hope to meet you soon.
Yeah, would be great. Would be great.
Would be great.
Where are you in Portugal, actually?
I live the suburbs of Lisbon. 20 minutes from the center.
Something came up to me, and we can kind of think about it. Maybe we're fundraising, right? We're doing the crowdfunding, and not going very well, but it's not the best of times apparently to do a crowdfunding. But we're learning in the process, and that's where we're having fun in the process. And I think that's the important part, you know.
Yeah.
But also I was thinking, you know, I really want to be creative and you know, give rewards and being more creative with the fundraising. And I was thinking, what if we organize concerts and stuff like that? And that's another way to fundraise, you know. And this thing that we're doing, I think that's interesting, you know. It's not just a performance in which someone listens, but this idea that you are the performance. And I feel this Zoom call is actually kind of a technology that invites us to rethink what is public and what is, you know, this experience together. So just I'm putting it as a seed, you know, for us to think what would be a Zoom concert fundraiser. Maybe it's a dream.
Participatory concert.
Yeah. So it's a mix between a voice lesson and a concert. Yeah.
Well, I'm open to it.
Like
I said, I'm very practical. Let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. Okay.
I don't think too much.
we signed the contract and
we go for it. Let's do it. Why not? We can do it. I don't know. I have to check out Zoom technologically what sound works, and I can help on it.
Yeah, I have an account. I have a big event on Saturday. 175 people registered, so I upgraded my account. I can get up to 500 people on it now.
Wow.
In theory, you can do 1,000 and then broadcast to another 10,000. So we can start more small, maybe. But
yeah, maybe that's a good idea. we now did 3. We add 1 person.
But it's good to know you can scale stuff, right? So
yeah.
Okay, so I'm stopping the live streaming. Thank you for all the people watching when you're watching. And
Thank you.
check out our next live. We cannot tell you when it is. It will be live when it will be live.
So stay tuned 24/7. Don't go away from your